Hello, Team Two. So you heard Jeff's feedback, and I want to give you some feedback now on your process, and plus some of my own feedback. Now, first of all, great work. Obviously, Jeff was very excited about the reality TV show idea, and it definitely seems like something he wants to pursue. I'm going to actually first just go over your recommendation with my comments, and then I'll talk to you about your process, which I love your prezi that you submitted. Thank you. Something I found interesting was when I looked at your process documents and when I looked at your problem statement, you had changed nationally to internationally. No, you changed internationally that you had originally to how might Ludique become nationally known, and then Jeff said I'd like to be internationally known, which I don't actually have a comment or a that's not a criticism. I just found it an interesting point that you were clearly aligned with him in your thinking, and then for some reason you made some kind of last minute change from internationally to nationally, and he picked up on that. I was wondering with your problem statement and your BHAG whether they should be flipped. In a way, in a way, your vision is for Ludique to become known, whether be it nationally or internationally. Let's say nationally, right? And that's sort of what you want to achieve. There's many different ways they can achieve that, and the problem statement you've landed on in terms of how to achieve that vision would be, how might Ludique have a reality TV show? So the vision, the reality TV show is a tactic by which you might achieve this vision of becoming nationally known, but it's not the goal in itself. And so if I'm understanding you correctly, you might want to consider flipping your vision and your problem statement. I think that I think that would work. And now I think that your solution, so I think you've clarified the problem well, and now the sense of, okay, so the goal is national recognition, and Jeff has said that that would solve some problems around being in Quebec, and that would be great. And then how it would be a a reality TV show. However, what's interesting is what you'll notice is your solution is almost the same as your question, right? It's not that different. It's kind of like, how can we have a TV show, or our goal is to have a TV show, and what we're producing, what we're suggesting is that Jeff have a reality TV show. And I would recommend that you go one level down in abstraction, because Jeff has thought of this idea himself, and that's a credit to you that you were sort of in his brain, assessing the situation to the point where you really understood where he was coming from and what he had to offer. And I would personally agree, actually, that this is a great idea. My own view, from my own sort of observational research, is I noticed that after hearing Jeff speak, I was thinking, wow, I'd love to have an appointment with him. But it did not make me think I'd love to have a stylist appointment. That I would love to sort of connect, have the attention of Jeff in terms of helping me determine my style. I still wouldn't want to go to a stylist. And that makes me think that this reality TV show idea of allowing him to be known is a good idea. That's my personal opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But I think this idea is directly analogous to the crowdsourcing example that I gave you on the Moodle site, where a student put out the idea of crowdsourcing and then they still had to develop it to bring it to the next level. And I think the same thing with yours. I think, yes, reality TV show, but the fact is, I question whether just like freeing up all this time so that you can then create a detailed plan with a storyboard and all that is the only way to do that. Maybe that's one option. Maybe you sort of move a level down of abstraction. You ask the question around how might he develop a reality TV show, or how might he, I think I put in the session with Jeff, how might he entice producers? And then maybe one option is freeing up time to get a full package together, and other options might be things that are less putting all your eggs in this one basket that has a huge time requirement and that he's not sure is going to pay off, right? So I would suggest that you go down a level of abstraction in terms of asking the question and grapple more with that question of how he can get this reality TV show idea off the ground. The criteria need greater convergence. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 criteria. So that's too many, number one. But number two is they're all around desirability. So they're all around, would this be a good idea? Now, when you're setting criteria, you're always assessing both desirability, is this something we want, and feasibility, is this something you can do? So if you look at your criteria, does it get the Ludique name out there? Is it an opportunity to promote values and beliefs? Will it bring in lucrative clients? Will it allow Jeff to do what he loves? All of those things clearly are desirable, but you need to weigh that against feasibility. So what are some of the criteria you might use for feasibility? Like can he, is this affordable, or can he do this in what? Can he do this while still running his current business? Those kind of questions, so that when you're measuring what recommendation is the best one, you have a balance, right, of what you want and what's possible, and you're weighing one against the other. So those are my comments on your recommendation. Now I'm going to look at my other computer screen as I look at your Prezi, but I did make some comments on this document as well. So what I'm noticing from your Prezi, first of all, I love the format because I can zoom in really well and really look at what you did. So what I'm noticing with the problem statement, I'm not sure if you're kind of just giving me a sample or if you're giving me all of your work. If you're giving me all of your work, I'm noticing you're not that divergent. And I'm not saying that to criticize you. I'm saying that for you to think about. Was this team not that divergent? If so, does it matter, given that you came to a fairly good framing of the problem? So you have what I see is 4, 8, 9, 10 ideas. So not very many possible ideas in terms of diverging on the problem statement. Then Ludique internationally known was your vision, which again, it was interesting that you changed it to nationally, and Jeff commented on that, but that's neither here nor there. The rationale was okay, seems good. The web of abstraction. Again, it seems good. This team does not seem like you were wildly divergent. So not good or bad, but thinking about that for your paper. Is my perception accurate? That it seems like when I see other teams, there's more, right? Is that accurate? If it is accurate, does it matter, right? So the goal isn't to say more divergence is always good. It's to reflect on your experience of the creative process and decide what you want to bring forward with you as you now move into the higher stakes environments of your real professional workplace. One thing I wanted to comment on, so I'm not going to comment on everything, was the hot air balloon. And in terms of forced connection, I'm not sure how useful you found that or not. But one thing that could be helpful is to be a level more concrete. So for example, and I'm not saying this is a good idea, it's just to give you an example of how forced connection can help. So I was thinking a hot air balloon, and I was thinking, okay, well, how can Jeff become nationally known, or how can he have a reality TV show? And I was thinking how the hot air balloon, I always think of it having this almost old-fashioned appeal, like it was an exciting thing for people in the old days. I think of the Wizard of Oz, or I think of going to sort of how it was how it sort of was this miraculous thing in a day before many of our modern technologies, and it has this sort of old-fashioned. So then I thought of the idea, well, maybe Jeff would associate him with some kind of burlesque show, right? Because that also, those modern-day burlesque shows, in Victoria we have, I can't remember, I think it's called the Cheesecake Cabaret, where they kind of are taking this old-fashioned idea and bringing it back in a different way. And then, of course, it has to do with fashion, and it has to do with dressing up. So I'm not saying that that's a brilliant idea to Jeff be part of a burlesque show. What I am saying, though, is just for your future learning, it might be helpful when you do forced connection, if you choose to do it again, to bring it down a level of concreteness and to attach it more closely to your problem statement. Now, the big observation, of course, with this is that I don't see 3 ideas and I don't see a decision matrix. And I'm wondering if that had happened, whether you would have then ended up refining your so if it wasn't only this one idea around like create a TV show, but you were looking at different ways to do it or to achieve your goal, whether that might have helped, and whether also if you had gone through the decision matrix, whether you would have caught yourself the fact that your criteria, that you have so many criteria to measure desirability and that they need to be more convergent, and that you don't have criteria that measure feasibility, and whether that would have become apparent if you'd done that exercise, because you would have seen that you were perhaps choosing cool ideas that Jeff couldn't execute on. So team, this is good work. Please, this course is designed so that this is all about iterating and about getting feedback and working through the creative process. So good job, team, and I look forward to reading your paper.